this client had decided that they were going to change. They wanted to make a change, and they're going to leave this other company. Within 30 minutes of them saying where they're contemplating about moving their business, they took their entire website offline. Within 30 minutes, the entire website
just dropped.
Gone.
No transition.
Nothing.
No, hey, you're good till the end of the month, and
Nope.
then whatever you do beyond that.
Nope. Welcome back to the Main Street Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Skip Ranke, and I thank you for joining us today. We are in the Main Street Marketing Podcast studios, and today we are going to be talking about marketing horror stories. And we've decided to put this into two parts because there's a lot of information that we were uncovering throughout this, and we decided to make this a two-part series. So this is going to be part one today. So thank you again for joining us. We have Dwayne Sherritt with us this morning. He is from BBS and Accountants here in Oconomowoc.
How you guys doing?
And we are going to be talking about the marketing horror stories. But before we jump into today's episode, I want to mention to be sure that you check out our last episode, which was uncovering the secrets to social media marketing, when we had Kristen in the studio, who runs the social media for Paragon. And so don't forget to listen to that episode. It was pretty awesome. So Dwayne, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about, your business, BBS and Accountant, and tell us a little about what you do here with us for Paragon. What do you do for us?
Sure. Well, I came to these guys vicariously through my son. He happened to take a position with them, and my office is right across the tracks. We've been around. BBS has been around in Oconomowoc since 1946. Now, obviously, I haven't been around with BBS since 1946, but me and my wife, we run BBS along with a couple of nieces, and we've been providing accounting, bookkeeping, tax, payroll services for small local businesses, family-run places, and individuals for that whole time. And awesome. My wife and I have actually owned the business now for 25 years, since 1998.
Very good.
Yeah. So.
And what else do you do for us, though?
Well, okay. That's the exciting part is the accounting stuff. Boy, I've been doing that a long time. But what I've done for these guys is I've come in and I've done a couple of promotional spots, I guess we'd call them.
Commercials.
Commercials, yeah. And I've really enjoyed it, and they've certainly let me blossom as TMG hasn't quite gotten a hold of me.
Not yet, but they're knocking at the door.
They are. But I've been getting a great response from my public, my folks out there, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been a learning experience because I really was, you see a commercial and you see the 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Right. But you don't realize what goes into the various camera angles, the cutting process, the how you layer that stuff. And that has been extremely interesting. And so for that, I thank you.
And you're really good at it.
Well, I enjoy it. It's fun.
We do have fun.
It's to me, it's when I get the call, I'm very excited about it. It's not something that, no, I really enjoy it. And like I say, they allow me to be a little bit creative, and that's great. In my other business, accounting, being creative really is kind of frowned upon, if you know what I mean. You kind of got to stick to the rules.
Yeah,
so,
you have to stay in the fence.
That's exactly
where we can
right.
step out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've leaped over the fence with you guys.
Oh yeah, and the one of my favorite ones that you did was when you were driving the lawnmower around my front yard.
Oh yeah, what a beautiful setting out there.
But but it was fun.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And my daughter got involved with that one as well. Yes, she was involved.
And we have Nate, and we've got more to come.
Well,
just so you know, there's plans for these.
Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, the next one you'll hear about the next one.
All right.
Probably before we leave here today.
All right, very good.
So we're going to talk about some horror stories today on marketing.
Okay,
so we're going to tell a little bit about what we've done or what we've experienced, and see what your reaction is, because we've talked about, you don't do a lot of marketing.
I really don't. We've been around so long, and we're there's only 4 of us in our office. So we have been able to maintain our client base by providing a good hometown service. We treat clients like they're friends and family. We're try to be helpful, and we haven't really looked toward expanding and stuff.
Right.
Now, word of mouth has done us well, but this is a different era nowadays. So there's word of mouth doesn't work for everybody.
No, not for everybody.
And
you have to get your name out there, especially if you're a new business. You have to be out there. You got to be visible.
Absolutely.
And so when we talk about that, we talk about the visibility of things. We're going to talk about our first horror story. We had a client that came to us prior to coming to Paragon. They invested over, and I want to say it was over $50,000 of their dollars, their revenue, for working with a client that didn't give them access to any of their accounts. So when you start with a business, you have access to your Google Analytics, where you can see the data.
Sure.
You get access to your Google My Business profile.
Okay.
Your website, social media. They got no access to, and they had no administrative access to any of their accounts. So if they wanted to go in and do something, they couldn't.
Well, that seems like more of a hostage situation.
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you wouldn't give one of your clients, let's say you have an online portal. What if you wouldn't give them access to their copies of their tax returns through that?
That would be absolutely well, I shouldn't say unheard of, but
it'd be unethical, number one.
It would be extremely unethical. It would also be a little disheartening, I would think, for the client, because even if they're not allowed to go in and manipulate the stuff, they should still have access to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, now, we get a report for our church. We've just recently started some online services and stuff.
Oh, sure.
And so we get that report, and it's useful to us, and we have access to that, and I can't imagine not having access to that information.
Right. And so if, let's say you wanted to do something, you wanted to run an ad in a local newspaper or something, or just do another type of service, and he couldn't see who his demographic was. And he can't. He couldn't. And so that was when we wanted to go in and start doing things. It was like, okay, well, we have no access to any of the data that was going on. We can't see who was visiting your site. We can't see when they were visiting the site, how long they were on your site, where did they come from, how did they get there. He had no access to any of that. And so if he wanted to even update anything on his website, he had to send it to them, to this other company. And when they got it there, it would take them anywhere from 4 to 7 days to update it.
Well, that's unacceptable, especially in this day and age with everything needs to be kind of quick, timely,
right.
and when you need it to happen, it needs to happen.
And some of the things were very time-sensitive things.
Yeah.
And so no matter how you pushed, they didn't get it done. So really, from that side of things, the takeaway from that, which we tell everybody, is to have access to your accounts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if any marketing company or anybody else decides doesn't let you have access to that, run.
Or puts roadblocks up where, you've got to first clear it through this person and
right.
then that person. That's too cumbersome.
Right. So the moral of the story on that one is stay away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this leads me right into the second one. A lot of these, what happens with a lot of small business owners is they sign up with a lot of, we'll call them industry specific type of agencies or companies.
Sure.
Or they sign up with another one that's a national. They're all over the country. So this other one prior to coming to Paragon Marketing Group. This client had decided that they were going to change. They wanted to make a change, and they're going to leave this other company. Within 30 minutes of them saying where they're contemplating about moving their business, they took their entire website offline. Within 30 minutes, the entire website was
dropped.
Gone.
No transition.
Nothing.
No, hey, you're good till the end of the month, and then whatever you do beyond that.
Nope. They took it. The other company decided we're taking it down.
Well, that's unacceptable. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that for a national company to do that, because if they're paid through a certain amount of time, what's the harm in leaving it? That just sounds like sour grapes.
Here's the verbiage.
Okay.
It's said it in the contract. And so what happens when you get into this
Weasel words.
Exactly. They bury it. Yeah. And they didn't really it was gray.
Sure.
And it was a charcoal gray. If you know what I mean.
Sure.
I mean it basically said that at our discretion.
Oh, okay.
So 3 words, at our discretion.
Which means that's a wide open window.
Right on. I feel like taking your site down.
Yeah.
You know, you've ticked me off. I'm taking it down.
Right. Now, I can understand if there was some sort of controversial, you're posting things that are against our corporate policies and such. But just because, well, I'm thinking about making a switch here, and
And it wasn't even a written notice.
It just happened.
It just basically happened. They basically called up to the company. They said, "Look, we're thinking about going with another company, and we want to know what the process would be if we're going to terminate our relationship with you and go to the other company.
Sure.
What information I get?
Do you need to know by the 10th of the month or the 20th or whatever?"
And this individual on the other side of the line, or basically said, "Oh, so you're going to be moving your business?" And she said, "Yes, I think we are." And he goes, "Oh, we'll take that as notice." And he said, "We'll begin the process of taking everything offline." Wow. So she called us right away. She said that was the comment that he said. And at first I was kind of stunned.
Yeah, that just seems, you would think the response would be, "Hey, is there something that we can do to maintain your business?"
Right? You would think that. But in this specific company, it's all about tits, turn, and burn.
Sure.
You know, they get it's volume,
sure.
volume. So basically what had happened.
It's hitting numbers for the sales crew every month.
That's it. It's not about the client.
No.
So she called me and she told me that, and at first I was like, no, they wouldn't do that. And then just something dinged in my head, and I'm like, we need to get copies of every single one of those pages content immediately.
Yeah.
And so between myself and Emma in our office and I can't remember who else was doing it, we were taking snapshots of all the content.
Screenshots, basically.
Yeah, before they took it offline, and we got 90% of it. And I think the only thing we really didn't get was the contact page and maybe a picture on that page, but we got everything off of it. But it's the moral of the story on this. Yeah, is you got to know who you're working with.
Yeah,
and get referrals, get testimonials, or talk to some of the other clients that they've worked with, or read the contract.
Absolutely. And the thing, like when you see something like that, is a lot of times I think those large national companies, your local connections get lost in the shuffle. And with the website, if you've got somebody that's going to your website and they expect to see a certain thing, and then all of a sudden it's something altogether different,
mm-hmm.
Some people freak out. They think it's been cloned or something else is going on. So it's not good for your clients when they see that sort of stuff.
No, it's
really unsettling.
It really is. And we've had another case, just you bring that up.
Because you don't have a chance to say, "Hey, we're going to be changing some things in the next week. Here's some upcoming, expect this to look different." You don't have a chance to do that.
Right. And this leads into one other thing, is when you work with some of these national companies, they send out renewals, and they do this, that, and the other thing. Or they hold domains. A lot of people will hold the domains. And so this one client had called us and he said, do you guys have my domain? And I said, "No, we don't have your domain." He said, "You had that on your own." He said, "Well, I had it with this other company." And I said, "Oh, well, okay." And he said, "Well, they didn't renew my domain." And I'm like, "Okay. Well, this is another horror story. It's not even on here. This is bringing it in here." So they didn't renew his domain. And so somebody else, and this is a racket. This happens now. So it was his name.com. So his name and then .com. And then what happened so he didn't renew it. And somebody in another country bought it and threw up porn on that domain.
Oh.
So when people would go and search out that domain, because he had it in different places, and about his business, his brand, his name brand.
Sure,
and
his business cards, his handouts, printed stuff.
Yeah, advertisements. And so when people were going to this site, which they ignore, and people who had it bookmarked for years and years.
Oh, sure.
They go there and all of a sudden it's got all this porn on it. So and in the contract, it says if you don't respond to our email within 30 minutes or 30 days of the initial one, we will not renew. Well, he didn't see the email. It went to spam, number one.
Okay.
Number two, out of sight, out of mind. Small business owner. You know what? I mean,
sure.
You wear 50 hats, you're running around like crazy. So that one, he didn't see it, he didn't renew it, and he got tagged on it. So he had to, if he wanted it, his domain back, he had to pay $1,000 to get it back.
It's amazing how that large company, how they can, in the one case, a simple phone call actually got a human being on the phone, which is an unusual thing nowadays. And they dropped it like that. I mean, all those free subscriptions that I've ever signed up for, boy, it takes some sort of, you have to be able to read blueprints to be able to drop them before the subscription kicks in. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
So for them to just drop with a phone call like that, that's just bad. And,
No, it's
and this hostage about you didn't send us the $10. There should be some sort of you know what? I don't even know. I'm not even.
it's a speechless thing, doesn't it?
It really is. It really is. Because now one of his clients goes to suddenly and it's this porn site. And I mean that can ruin that relationship for him.
It can
forever. He may never get a chance to explain that. No, I had nothing to do with that. That's some.
Won't even matter in the client's eyes because
it's been ingrained. Now you've made this image,
and you've got what, like 30 seconds, less than 3 seconds to make a decision on somebody. And so if somebody's looking, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh my gosh, what's this?"
Right.
And I went out there, and he says, "You got to go look at this site." And I was like, "Oh no, it was horrible." So when let's talk about another one we had, and this was sorry. Prior to this company coming to work with Paragon, they were doing $40,000 is what they would spend on their postcard mailings. Doing it for years.
Wow. Okay.
And as part of this $40,000, they would actually have to go to the printer, pick up the postcards, separate them where they wanted to go, and then take them to the post office so they could actually go and mail them. So number one, that's just a hassle for a small business owner.
Wow.
Now think about this: $40,000 in postcards.
A lot of postcards, buckets and buckets and buckets,
pallets.
Yes.
Okay, $40,000 in postcards over the course of a year. All of them didn't have their website.
Oh boy! Once that die is cast, oh my goodness!
The flutter of the eye was, I could tell right there, but it didn't even have their website on it. So
that's like not having your name on the thing.
You might as well, right? So,
this sounds great. Who the hell is this?
That's right. And
like, where the hell are they?
And I want to go look at their website. I want to see what. Oh, now I got to go search them. What do you think? What do you think the return was on their postcards?
I'm going to say probably maybe 0.0%.
It was. They probably had another digit in there. It was probably more like 0.005.
Okay.
But I mean, they that's just being
facetious.
They did get some,
sure.
but they could have got more if they would have actually, number one, paid
attention,
done the research with the organization who was doing it for them,
sure,
to make sure that they were getting what they were getting, but also just making sure that they're just really doing what they needed to do.
Do you think sometimes when it comes to that sort of a thing, it's because there's a mentality of, well, this is the way we've always done it, and this is who we've always done it to, and it's kind of a pain to make that switch. I got too many other things going on. I can't look for a new marketing, and it's always worked for us, and a lot of that goes on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It happens all the time. I mean, when we work with yes, it does, because people fear the steps that they have to take to make the change.
Sure. That's like, switching your insurance.
Switching your bank.
Or your bank, or your doctor. I mean, because everything connected to that has to be notified in some way, shape, or form.
That's why banks, they really, and people probably already know this, but that's why they want the direct deposit and they want that bill pay service, because they know if they lock you into that your chances of leaving are really, really
been
small.
Diminished tremendously. Yeah, absolutely.
Huge. So that's why it's...
Yeah, we're lazy.
We're lazy.
We're lazy. That's laziness is the mother of invention. Okay?
It is.
People invent things because we're too lazy to continue to do it this way. Isn't there an easier way to do it? And the electronic, you're right. People are locked in and they look at their bank statement and go, I got to contact 14 different places and switch my car payment. And
the same thing applies here. And just think about it. When we were younger, people were lazy. Who was did you have a remote control when you had the teens of TV?
No, I was the remote control.
So was I.
It's like, hey, go change that to channel 12 or whatever it was.
And you only had 6 channels to choose from.
Yeah, well, and that was if the tin foil was adjusted right on the rabbit ears. Now stand there and hold that. That's much better. So, yeah, I remember.
Oh, that was a horrible memory.
Yeah,
I had to do that. That sucked. So thank you for joining us today about when we were talking about marketing horror stories. Again, this is the first part of a 2-part series, so don't forget to tune in and check out part 2. It's going to be awesome. But again, a lot of marketing horror stories out there, and we've got a lot more to come. So again, thanks for joining us today. I'm Skip from the Main Street Marketing Podcast Studios, wishing you many, many successes.